There are a couple different ways I can start this, but the number one thing that I have to say is just thank you so much. I know it's a big day. I know Hopkins is now a Tennessee Titan. I know this will be a different draft than what we've been seeing over the past few weeks, past few months. We have 200 people out here waiting for this live stream. Y'all are so freaking awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me every single day. We're going to go ahead and instead of singing Eye of the Tiger, like I said, maybe I would, we are going to just hop into a fast puppy draft. Just in case you don't know what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen, this is a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. This is a best ball tournament on Underdog, $75,000 for first place, $40,000 for second place. We are going to win this bad boy. We had a member of the flock win this bad boy last year for $75,000, but today it will be yours truly. We're in the draft room. It's full. Let's see this happen. And we're at pick one. How many times are we going to get pick one here? How many drafts are we going to be in at one? Let me know if you are in this draft with us. I'm assuming Flock's Skyraptonite. Oh, Flock's Kryptonite. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. They're in here at 8 with us, and it's going to be a little brutal. We have Philip in here at pick 6. Love to see it. We have Prod in here again at pick 3. As always, love to see him. Mr. Mo in here at 12. Pat Smith missed ours, but in at 2. Jasmine says, pick one again. Rigged. I'm thinking it's rigged. Yes, I'm right there with you, Jasmine. I swear we've had pick one like every single day over the past week, right? John in here at 11. Tyler in here at 4. Cole in here at 9. Who is Flock's Kryptonite? That's what I got to ask. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Justin Jefferson. Let's get him locked and loaded off this draft board. And what's going to be interesting is, do we get Derrick Henry falling to us at pick 24 now with Hopkins in Tennessee? Let's see. Let's see. But Ben, happy to see you out here at 5, my man. Have you always had the red badge? Or is the red badge new? Let me know. Let me know. Sumo Bros, this is going to get 12 in the next draft. It seems like we do only get 1 or 12. But we had a massive dono coming out from Bush Sports. Thank you so much for being a member of the flock. As always, my friend says, hot takes for the offline chat. 2023 Marvin Jones is 2019 Amendola. Van Jefferson surpasses 900 yards this year. Commanders go 10-7. Brian Robinson is this year's Josh Jacobs. Mason tattoos a bush on his arm, if I'm right. Okay. I've never had a tattoo before, so it's a little bold. It's a little bold. How about this? Nothing on my arm. Maybe on like my thigh or something where I can hide it. If Brian Robinson is the number 1 overall running back in fantasy, my friend, I will have won so much freaking money by drafting him nonstop in the 10th round of these underdog drafts. I'll probably be on a high, and you could probably convince me to get your avatar tattooed somewhere. Don't know if we're going arm, but that's a bold claim, my man. Mystic Flame coming out of the donation. Thank you. It says 12-team Superflex 1.5 tight end premium startup. We got offered Allen 8th, 9th for our 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and a future first. I don't think you can do it, to be honest. I mean, maybe if you were keeping your own future first, but that is just such a high price tag to trade away your 2nd, 3rd, 4th round startup picks and your 2024 first as well. I think you have to keep the package, my friend. But we have Bijan Robinson going off at 9, CeeDee Lamb making it down to 11, A.J. Brown making it down to 10. It seems like you have had A.J. Brown falling a little bit more in these underdog drafts than we're used to, right? But Bush, I want to see what Underdog has for the player prop on Brian Robinson. And real quick side note, just in case everybody wants to know our favorite player prop now that Hopkins is in Tennessee, I actually really like going with the fewer than 825 receiving yards for Treylon Burks on Underdog Fantasy. Do they have a Brian Robinson lineup? Yeah, they have Brian Robinson at 6.5 rushing touchdowns and about 800 rushing yards, my friend. So interested to see that kind of boldness with Brian Robinson. But of course, real quick, just in case you don't know what we're doing, these are Underdog Best Ball drafts. We do this every single day on the live stream. Best Ball's no time commitment at all during the year. So I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last season. It's available in damn near every state. I mean, you can see the states here. And now is 100% the time if you are wanting to check out Underdog, if you are wanting to get into draft, because they do have the $5 per puppy tournament live. It's the best time to deposit like $10, immediately have $20 in your account, get some practice in with these drafts with the puppy tournament in particular. And then also, I mean, until I believe July 22nd, they have the free Patrick Mahomes special up, more than less than half a passing yard. That's both for anybody who is new to Underdog Fantasy, as well as if you've been on Underdog Fantasy for years with promo code FLOCK. That should be live in your app as well. So please, everybody, make sure you're going to take advantage of that. I actually paired that with the line that we had with Traylon Burks, fewer than 800 yards. But let's see what happens. You have Devonta Smith-Barkley off the board here. So there's still a chance that we actually have Derrick Henry making it to us pick 24, 25. It seemed like the stream was in consensus earlier that Derrick Henry was going up in rankings with Hopkins, but Derrick Henry goes 22, so we are not going to be able to get Henry. Instead, I really like this start going T. Higgins, Jalen Hurts here. I think this gives us a lot of flexibility with what we can do later on. Y'all know I really like taking Dallas Goedert in the 7th round as well, so I'm fine taking Jalen Hurts here, even if we don't have A.J. Brown, even if we don't have Devonta Smith, as well as the fact, I mean, if you're looking at the projections for Jalen Hurts this next season, it is kind of crazy to see, but they currently have Jalen Hurts for 11.5 rushing touchdowns as a player prop. They have Jalen Hurts for 50 more passing yards than Lamar Jackson. They have him for about the same amount of passing touchdowns as Jordan Love. But the main thing I'm looking there is 11.5 rushing touchdowns for a player prop is just wild with the projections. But Sumo Bro says, I got to say, I love the player prop videos. And maybe I'll make another player prop video as we get closer to the season as they go through to update them. I feel like it's just really useful to look at them in terms of what the actual projections are this next year. I know I've said this time and time again, and you're probably annoyed with me saying it by this point, but I just think in general, it's probably better to look at player props where someone actually has to have their money where their mouth is to put those out there than just some random fantasy football projections, right? So I don't know. If I were to go out there and tell y'all, yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is going to have 11 rushing touchdowns. Does it really mean anything if you're not going to be able to take me up on it? No. I mean, yeah, I'm risking my reputation, but at the same time, like if a company's going out there and risking real United States dollars, they have to be pretty well researched and they have to be pretty confident in that. Okay. Well, let's see this. Angel says, gonna miss getting Derrick Henry in the 3rd round. Don't blame you, my friend. And let's see where, DeAndre Hopkins going. In the draft previous, I think DeAndre Hopkins went pick 42, unless I'm mistaken. We took Travis Etienne 41. I think DeAndre Hopkins went 42. Let's see. Etienne goes 37. Let's see what happens. Sam says Diggs and Allen is the best stack. I would agree if you're able to get Josh Allen in round 3. Like there are a lot of teams that you see that can start Stephon Diggs round 1, then Josh Allen round 3. And if you can pair that up with like a Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, I think that it's the highest upside stack while not having to go like Kelsey Mahomes round 1 and 2. But FF Addict Happy to see you says, hey Mason, appreciate everything you do. Thoughts on a standard underdog draft at the 106? What do you think about going Kelsey Mahomes stack and going 2, 6, 8, 2? In general, yeah, if you were going to go Kelsey Mahomes, you kind of want to do what that team there at pick 7's doing. Smash wide receivers through the middle rounds, and then that way you're able to pick up maybe with a 0 RB approach and go 6 running backs later on. I think that would be the structure that you're looking at. In general, going Kelsey Mahomes is really expensive in my mind in the 1st and 2nd round. I mean, that's been my number one stack to target over the past few years. Y'all know Mahomes was my most drafted quarterback on Underdog last season. But also, there we were getting Patrick Mahomes at the 4-5 turn. So there it was just, you weren't having to go so overboard with the investment into that one stack, such as a first and second round selection. I don't know. Also, Kelsey's going to be 34. Now, this point, we'll do it. F it. Let's go with the Cincinnati double stack, going Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, to pair them up with T. Higgins. If I didn't have T. Higgins here, I probably wouldn't do this. And in general, I don't love the idea of going ahead and taking 2 elite level quarterbacks this early on. I don't like spending your 3rd and 4th round selection on a quarterback. I think it would be more reasonable to go like, say, elite level running back there in the 3rd round, and then go Joe Burrow as well as Justin Fields at the 4-5 turn. Now, the issue is if you're looking at, in my mind, the optimal selection here at the 4-5 turn, I used to prefer Kenneth Walker over Mixon, but now that Mixon has actually restructured his contract and is guaranteed to be a Cincinnati Bengal this next year, I think you have to push Joe Mixon above Kenneth Walker, which a lot of people were already doing, and I wish I was early with that game, but sadly I was not. I think I have to take Joe Mixon here, regardless of what we're going to do with that other selection. So it's like, okay, if we're going to go with the start of Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, with that other pick, how much are we really gaining by going with Kenneth Walker, Brandon Ayuk instead of Joe Burrow? I don't know. It's not going to be something I do very often. And of course, if you're just in like a regular casual ESPN redraft format, you're never doing this in a million years. This is specifically something I think you can possibly get away with on Underdog, with it being best ball. Don't love it, but we'll mix it in here. We'll try it, right? It's a $5 draft. Y'all know once we get closer to the season, I'll be opting into a lot of the high-stakes Underdog drafts, like the $250 drafts, the $500 drafts. So I definitely want to make sure that we have our draft strategy all sorted out here. But Jackson coming out and says, have you done a Superflex draft yet? Yeah, we did a couple of Superflex drafts earlier in the year. Right now, Underdog does not have a Superflex contest open, but we will be hopping into more Superflex Underdog drafts. Be completely honest with you, I'm not a massive fan of Superflex redraft leagues. Now, Dynasty, it's the only way I play. I will refuse to play in a 1-quarterback Dynasty format. I mean, y'all know I started playing Dynasty in like 20+ leagues a year back in 2014. I got rid of all my 1-quarterback Dynasty leagues, I believe, in 2017. And since then, in Dynasty, I've been Superflex exclusive. But in redraft, in best ball, I still kind of prefer to go ahead and go with the 1-quarterback format, but it is what it is. Kay says, I see what you did, Mason. I'm mixing it in. Yes, I'm mixing it in there. But let's go ahead. JSN off the board, 61. Sanders off at 62. Now, at this point, obviously, what we are hoping for is we are wanting to see quarterbacks get drafted. I mean, we are not able to take another quarterback. We've already drafted too many. Okay. We've already invested too much into the position. Chris Godwin makes it all the way down to 63, which is extremely interesting. Hopkins went pick 45 in this draft, which is about the same as where he used to go. I mean, not a big difference in comparison to what we've usually seen. Okay. Now, Burks generally would have been in play at pick 72, 73, but now with Hopkins going over, I honestly don't know if I can take Treylon Burks there. Akers off the board. Flock's Kryptonite decides to take Trevor Lawrence there at 65. Good for us, of course, to see Lawrence go. I mean, it would have been a little frustrating to have Lawrence sitting there at pick 72 when we were on the clock. But Jesse says, Trevor's the only QB that can fall here. Yeah, I mean, but a lot of times you will see Lawrence making it the 7th round. You have Burks going pick 66. This is the second draft we've done since DeAndre Hopkins has signed in Tennessee. And this is the second draft we've seen Treylon Burks go in the middle of the 6th round. That is honestly really surprising in my mind. I would have assumed Burks is falling down to like the 7-8 turn. I don't know. Zone says he's going to be going late 80s. Crazy going at 66. Yeah. GBD12 says, I'm still not down on Burks at all. Well, here I think we have an easy decision to go Mike Evans and then also grabbing Dallas Goedert. This is a really weird team, but honestly, I really like this team. I'm not going to lie with you. Jonathan says more passing volume in Tennessee. I kind of hope that Burks does not fall down draft boards. Like I said earlier, I had 11% trail on Burks before DeAndre Hopkins signed, which honestly, I thought it was lower than that. And I wish it was lower than that clearly, because I think the addition of Hopkins hurts Burks, even if it does take attention away, even if the offense is better on the whole. So yeah, Burks continues to go there in the 6th round and I could just stop drafting him. Be pretty nice. But yeah, let me know what y'all think. In general, I'm never doing this with quarterbacks, right? But wide receiver, Jefferson, Higgins, Evans. Tight end, Dallas Goedert. Running back, Mixon. So we have Hurts stacked with Goddard. We have Burrows double stacked with Higgins, Mixon. We essentially guarantee ourselves a top 3-ish quarterback finish each and every week. We have an anchor RB there with Joe Mixon, who I'm much more comfortable with now that he's restructured his contract. We have 3 wide receivers that can spike up and be a wide receiver 1 any given week. No, I really like it. Margaret Word says, thank goodness I have 28% Derrick Henry. Yeah, I mean, I have a decent amount of Henry as well. I'm sure y'all saw me mixing in some other picks there at the beginning of the 3rd because I was getting a little worried I was overweight on Derrick Henry. Now I kind of wish I could go back in time and just continue to draft Derrick Henry in the 3rd round. Okay. Now, Quentin Johnston, Kadarius Toney off the board, 80, 81. Darren Waller goes 82. Jonathan says 0% Burks, 14% Hopkins. Okay, we didn't ask this in the live chat earlier, which is kind of funny because it's the number one question that we should have asked. With DeAndre Hopkins, are you moving him up, down, or stays the same in your rankings? So just everybody spam the chat, please. We have over 600 people watching this. I need a one-word response here. Either up, down, or same. Where is DeAndre Hopkins going in your rankings? Up, down, or same? Okay. Down, down, down. Same, same, same. Down, down, up. Down, down, up, same. Down, same, down, 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 same, same. So it looks like most people are either keeping him the same or moving him down. There are a few ups mixed in. It's interesting with Hopkins, right? Because the man is going to continue to see just a crap ton of targets in Tennessee. The contract's a little encouraging based on the money and the years that he got. But I don't know. It's definitely a bad offense. It's just the target share is pretty much guaranteed now, right? Mark Ward says, is Tannehill draftable now? Yeah, so I was talking about this earlier in the live stream. In your standard, like one quarterback ESPN redraft league, there's no reason taking Tannehill. There's not really much upside. I mean, yeah, he can randomly have a spike week, but he's more so just going to be a streaming option based off matchup. But in these underdog best ball tournaments, you need to be moving Ryan Tannehill up. Ryan Tannehill needs to be drafted because you get an added bonus of now Tannehill in a much better situation. And at the same time, you can have a unique team compared to the rest of the field. So let me explain that a little more in depth once we make our selections here. Pick 96, 97. Quarterback not really in play for us. I mean, we can't take Anthony Richardson. We can't take Dak Prescott. We're exclusively wide receiver, running back, tight end here. Okay. Prod on the clock. Let's see what he decides to do. Goes James Cook, 94. Pat says, Burks just passed pick 89 and counting in my draft. Dear God, let me know when he finally goes off the board, my friend. Here, I just don't want to be drafting Michael Thomas. I really don't want to. I'm not going to. F that. Honestly, Evan Ingram gets a deal. Evan Ingram's the cover of this live stream. I think we're going to go Evan Ingram and only draft 2 tight ends. Let's go Antonio Gibson, Evan Ingram here at the 8-9 turn. But what I want to talk about in general real quick will be why you should be targeting Ryan Tannehill in the 18th round of these best ball drafts. Because you have to think about the overall tournament, right? So if you're in Best Ball Mania, you're getting in one of these drafts. $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first place. But there have already been 258,000 teams drafted in this tournament. And out of these drafts, there have not been too many teams to take Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill has been undrafted in the majority of these. So if you're able to stack DeAndre Hopkins and Ryan Tannehill, if it were to work out, you're not going up against too many other teams that also have Ryan Tannehill and DeAndre Hopkins stacked. It's the same thing in the puppy tournament that we're drafting in right now. It's a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, $75,000 for first place. So of course, we're trying to be a unique team from the rest of the field. There were 60 or so thousand teams drafted before you had Ryan Tannehill getting DeAndre Hopkins. In the vast majority of those drafts, nobody took Tannehill. And definitely nobody took Tannehill and stacked him with DeAndre Hopkins. And obviously I'm exaggerating by saying nobody. I'm sure some people did, but a very, very low percentage. So now if you're able to go out of your way and stack DeAndre Hopkins and Ryan Tannehill, if it works out, all of a sudden, you just have a unique team from the rest of the field with a lot of upside at the same time. And yeah, if you want to take a swing and go with Hopkins and Levis in round 18 and just try to have that unique build that can have the upside in weeks 15, 16, 17, I don't mind that idea either. But real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 350 likes on this stream, we are going to fire up another draft after this one, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft or if you want to go check out any of these player props on Underdog Fantasy, what I'd recommend right now would be going and looking at the Treylon Burks fewer than 825 receiving yards line. You can find a link to Underdog in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. And if you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. Get a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And also get this free Patrick Mahomes bet before July 22nd, I believe. It's not going to be there forever, so please take advantage of it soon. Now, we still need running back, wide receiver. We're done at quarterback. We're done at tight end. So that's a little bit of a weird draft here, right? Like the way that we go ahead and attack these positions. Ethan says, I got banned from Underdog for cheating with my buddies in NBA pool drafts. I'd do anything to play again. Well, my man, probably shouldn't have cheated. I'm sorry. Not much I can say on that front. Yeah. Quick side note, do not cheat on Underdog Fantasy. And if you do cheat, you will most likely be banned. Okay. So we are just running back, wide receiver from here on out, ladies and gentlemen. So quarterback, we have Hurts, Burrow. We have Hurts stacked up with Goddard. We have Burrow double stacked with Mixon, T. Higgins. Running back, we have Joe Mixon, Antonio Gibson. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Higgins, Mike Evans. And also, it is big of you to admit that's like you got banned on Underdog for explicitly cheating. There are a lot of people that will get banned for cheating and go, I didn't do anything. Why do you think? But and they come to the comment section as if I can do anything about it. Zachary says, weekly winners, we got Allen Hill, Wilson, Gibbs, London. Okay, how? Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, round 1. Garrett Wilson fell to a Tyreek Hill team in round 2. Like, how the hell does that even happen? I don't want to draft any more Devon Achane. I can't do it. I'd rather have Elijah Mitchell than Devon Achane. Wide receiver here, I don't really like anybody. I wish we had Khalil Herbert make it to us. Do we go Dobbs? I don't know. I think we can go Dobbs here and then target Reed later on. I just don't like, if it was a full PPR format, maybe I can sit here and say Devon Achane has a higher ceiling, right? But I don't see it as a possibility Devon Achane ever turns into a true league winning player. I mean, the man weighs less than 190 pounds. He's an NFL running back. He's a BMI of 27.8. With Elijah Mitchell, I think you could get usable weeks. I mean, going back and looking at like the player props on Underdog, they have Elijah Mitchell at 575.5 rushing yards in comparison to Christian McCaffrey at 865. So they are saying that Elijah Mitchell is going to have a decent role even with the healthy CMC. And then obviously if CMC were to miss time, then all of a sudden he becomes a league winning player, right? Like, let's go through a hypothetical, okay? And I know we're doing mental gymnastics and I'm just trying to justify my selection here, but say CMC goes down in the preseason torn ACL. I mean, not rooting for it, not saying it's going to happen, but we're just going through a what if because we know randomness happens in fantasy football. We've seen CMC get injured before. If Christian McCaffrey goes down to a torn ACL in the season, I mean, before the season starts, Elijah Mitchell, who averaged 100 yards per game as a rookie, where does he get drafted? He probably moves up to the 5th round, getting drafted next to Alexander Madison. There's no way in hell Devon Achane could ever rise that far. I mean, even if you were to have Raheem Mostert go down, like Devon Achane is just not small enough to have a 3-down workload. I mean, not big enough to have a 3-down workload. But Zachary says, Keenan Allen fell to pick 29. Got Mahomes, Kelsey's stack at 2. Oh, Josh. Okay, that makes so much more sense. Allen fell to pick 29. Okay. Makes sense, my man. Makes sense. But, okay. Smooth this over. We have Rondale Moore, Darnell Mooney off the board here at wide receiver. Matt says, you're hoping for breakaway touchdowns with Devon Achane on a Kyle Shanahan style offense that helps running back production. With Elijah Mitchell, I am hoping for breakaway touchdowns on the exact Kyle Shanahan offense that helps running back production. So, I got it, my man. I got it. Now, Bush says, look to do it. Hurts last year, 378 points. Hurts Burrow stack, 466. An increase of 88 total points. Well, I will say, if Jalen Hurts repeats what he did last year, you kind of have to have Jalen Hurts to win fantasy football leagues now. Like, you can do some mental gymnastics, and very rarely am I going through and taking both quarterbacks here. Thought this was one of the very rare instances where maybe it made sense to try. But you could do some mental gymnastics and say, okay, in this overall tournament, what happens if Jalen Hurts has a high ankle sprain? Jalen Hurts misses, say, 6-7 weeks in the middle part of the year. And all of a sudden, the majority of teams that drafted Jalen Hurts and didn't take another solid quarterback, they don't make it to the fantasy football playoff tournament. But you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow. All of a sudden, you're able to sneak a Jalen Hurts team through. And then Jalen Hurts is the QB1 overall in weeks 15, 16, 17. You can do some mental gymnastics to get you there and convince yourselves that one of those quarterbacks is worth pairing up with another solid option. Now, I think going like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts at the 2-3 turn would never be something you want to do. And honestly, you probably don't want to take Hurts Burrow here. But who knows? Who knows? I honestly am pleasantly surprised with our team based on the decision of us doing that. Rashee Rice off the board 140. We are exclusively running back wide receiver. Can't do anything else. Tyler Higbee goes 141. Great for us, of course. Daniel says, Hurts Burrow was the best ball 3 regular season winning team. That's crazy. I didn't even know that, my friend. And yeah, the regular season team on Underdog last year won $1 million. So I'll be fine with a small milli with this team. But Van Jefferson off the board. I think we're going to go ahead and honestly double tap the running back position here. On the way back around, the wide receivers aren't going to be much worse off than the running backs are here at this point. And if we go running back with Jalen Warren, Tyler Algier, actually, we're definitely going to go Jalen Warren. We're not thinking about that, but we probably want to draft 6 running backs with this team, with our first 3 being Mixon, Gibson, Mitchell. So do we want to pivot and go Osborne instead, get the pair with Jefferson? Running backs versus wide receivers. Actually, no, let's go Tyler Algier. There's some wide receivers I like on the way back around. But sports, who were you wanting, my man? Who were you wanting? Lowe says, are you going to do any DFS style content during the season? A big reason that I don't cover DFS style content is if you are looking at being a serious DFS player, you need to be going through running sims, running projections all the way until NFL kickoff with the news that we are getting before that slate actually happens. I start live streaming Sunday morning at 7 a.m. and I go through and I answer questions as fast as I can for 5 hours leading up till kickoff. So I can't be going through and looking at updated projections and optimal lineups at 9 a.m. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Like I have a job to do. So sadly, I am not going to do any DFS style content during the season. And DFS, guys, is like a DraftKings. It's FanDuel. You know what I mean? Like you go through, you submit your lineup with a salary basis to it. So sadly, I don't know if I'd be smart enough to actually be able to give you all actionable information with DFS. I would say the vast, vast, vast majority of people who put out DFS style content are losing DFS players. And I'd be willing to bet money that that's the case. The vast majority of people who go through and put out DFS content do not make money in DFS. And I most likely would fall into that same bucket with 90% of other people who do that. So I'm going to stick to what I know I am very good at. I know I am very good at best ball, indicated by us having better results pretty much than anybody else last year. Pretty damn good at Dynasty and pretty damn good at redraft as well. If I were to come out here and try to convince you that I could be a winning DFS player when I'm going through and we're going to job every Sunday morning, probably not going to happen. Now, Clutch Plays says, thoughts on Jamal Williams and Curtis Samuel. I actually really like Curtis Samuel in best ball drafts at the cost that he's currently going. Jamal Williams is interesting, right? Because Jamal Williams is essentially just a play on if you're going to see an Alvin Kamara suspension. Because if you are looking at Jamal, if Kamara plays, the upside maybe is not even there because you're going to have Kamara, Condre Miller. You're also going to have Taysom Hill. You're just going to have so many guys in that backfield. It's going to be a little hard for Jamal Williams to see what he did last year. Now, at the same time, you could say, well, if Alvin Kamara were to get suspended, Jamal Williams is a player that could dramatically rise in these drafts. So in general, in tournament style contest, that's actually what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that can swing one way or another, where Jamal Williams is either going to end up being a very good pick or a very bad pick. The last thing I want to be doing is taking someone that's just very boring, that doesn't really have any upside to move in ADP. So why we were drafting Alexander Mattison. He was our most drafted running back earlier this offseason when he was going in round 9, simply because we said, okay, if his situation changes, he can be a running back that's going right now in round 9, but he can eventually jump up to probably being drafted higher than Dalvin Cook. Bush Sports says Curtis fell off a cliff last year, 100%. But I mean, it is nice to see Washington not really invest anything, into any other pass catchers that were not already on that roster. Okay, we are exclusively running back wide receiver. Even if Irv Smith Jr. was going to make it to us a 168, we couldn't have taken him. And we can only take one more wide receiver as well. We only take one more wide receiver. Singletary, Deonta Foreman, both off the board. It's interesting to see Tim Patrick rise in ADP. I'll go through and show y'all something in just 1 second. And we are about to hit 350 likes on the live stream, so we're going to go ahead and fire up another draft after this one. Prod snipes us on Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell maybe would have been the only running back we would have considered here because we had Jalen Hurts. Maybe we still go Jerome Ford if he's the last running back in this tier. But I probably would have taken Gainwell if he would have made it to us. We would have set ourselves up with the Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Gainwell, Dallas Goedert double stack. Mostert off the board. I think we're going to take Jaden Reed as well as Tim Patrick at wide receiver. What's interesting is if you're going to pull up the projections that you have with these player props with Tim Patrick, let's just do it with all the Denver Broncos pass catchers. You have Tim Patrick at 540 receiving yards. This is about the same as Alec Pierce. This is more than Elijah Moore. This is more than Donovan Peoples-Jones. This is kind of in the same ballpark as someone like Zay Flowers. So it's really interesting to see that be the player prop for Patrick. They have Sutton at 725. They have Judy at 900. So it's interesting to see those projections on Tim Patrick. You know what? With Hopkins officially signing, we probably should have instead gone ahead and taken Tyquan Thornton. I think that's a mistake on my part. But let me show y'all this draft board. I will keep y'all posted with who we take in the final 3 rounds. But I actually kind of want to go ahead and fire up another draft after this one. And yeah, let me show y'all this board. Turn on the fan 1 second. And we're going to fire up another draft. I'll keep y'all posted with who our last 3 picks are. And I forgot, ladies and gentlemen, to tell y'all. 1 second. Let's go ahead and hop in. We're going to get into another puppy draft, ladies and gentlemen. $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, $75,000 for first, $40,000 for second. Y'all know Nick in the flock. Yes, he did win this tournament last year. He did win $75,000. But let's go ahead and let's get this. There's no freaking way. This is the same exact thing that happened yesterday. This is the same exact thing that happened yesterday. We had pick 1 in the first draft yesterday, pick 12 in the second draft yesterday. What the hell? Hayes ID says, awesome guy rocks in here at pick 1. Hayes ID in here at pick 7. Jay in here at pick 5. Relevant Rocha in here at 11 with us. Falony in at 3. And yes, I will draft Bijan Robinson. I will draft our guy if we can. Yeah, I'm going to have that picture up there forever. But you know what? I need to get all the pictures of me that I have with NFL players. And every time we take them, throw it up on the stream. That's what we're going to have to do. I need to do that. Fox says 3-day draft to break the streak. Yeah, I think we can hit 600 likes in this live stream and fire up another one. T-God out here at pick 2. Mr. Silly Cheese in here at pick 4. Love to see it. Love to see it. Mike claiming we have the best pick. I know a lot of people like pick 12, but this is what I was saying. Y'all know, sadly, the previous few days on the live stream, I had already had about 5 or 6 sparkling waters before we fired up the stream, so I had to cut myself off and I couldn't have any more. But I've had 0 sparkling waters today, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get them out. This great flavor. Oh my God. Did I shake this before? It just exploded all over me. Ooh. Sounds good. Let's get this going, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have Cup off the board 5. Tyreek Hill goes at 4. Go says, at pick 12, you can legitimately dictate the draft. I'll try my best, my man, but sadly, I'm not good at fantasy football, so I probably can't. Okay. Let's see. We're hopefully getting our guy here. We'll see. Bijan Robinson off the board at 9, so never mind. We are not going to get him. Okay. What is Guap doing? Come on, my man. Okay, we're up in 4 picks in that other draft. He goes to Monroe St. Brown at 10. Really interesting. Lamb goes, we're going to go A.J. Brown. I actually prefer Davante Adams over Garrett Wilson, but when A.J. Brown makes it to us at pick 12, I'm going to go Garrett Wilson instead because I think it's going to be a much more unique start going A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson in comparison to A.J. Brown, Davante Adams. And then that other draft at pick 192, we're probably going to take Jeff Wilson at running back. We're going to go a Wan'Dale Robinson at wide receiver. But I really like this start here. A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson. I think we're going to have a lot of flexibility. Mr. Silly Cheese says his first underdog draft. Happy to have you here, my man. Happy to see it. Elig says Lamb and Adams. If I would have had CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown making it to us, I would have been over the moon. If we would have had Lamb, A.J. Brown, one, I definitely prefer A.J. Brown over Garrett Wilson. That's not particularly close for me. But two, that would have been such a unique start as well, where it would pretty much be best case scenario from pick 12. This is still pretty good, right? Patrick goes 18. Mile High Magic says, I went Sun God and Waddle 12-13 just now. Definitely a unique build as well going Sun God and Waddle. I don't like them as much as A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, but it is what it is. Bush Sports says, I don't know how you psychos always get in. What's kind of funny for me is I never have to think about, like, oh, am I getting in? I just press it, I'm in. I'm in. Ryan says, my league had a competition decide the draft order. I won first so I can pick what pick I have in our 12-team app PPR double flex. Should I take pick number 1 or get creative with the later pick? You the man. No, thank you so much, my man, for coming out. I'd say if it is a double flex league, please, everybody spam the chat, okay? Look at Ryan's message. He gets to choose what draft pick he has. Double flex, half PPR. In my mind, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to go Justin Jefferson. I'm going to go number 1. But please, everybody spam the chat and let Ryan know what you would do. Jasmine says first pick always. Go says first. Fox breaks 1. Duke says 2. Fourth 2, 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. It looks like most people are saying 1. Luke wants 12. Nate wants 7. NRG says top 4 pick in your... Honestly, I wouldn't mind if you wanted to go, like, say, pick 3 if you really thought, like, if you thought your league mates were possibly going to take CMC or Eckler over Jefferson or Chase, or if you wanted Christian McCaffrey yourself, I wouldn't mind if you wanted to go with a top 3 pick. If it was only a 1 flex league, I would view Travis Kelce in that same elite level tier. In a double flex league, I'm going to move Kelce a tier down. If it was a 1 flex league, I think any top 4 pick would be fine because I think you can move Kelce up there as well. But Mike says, are you concerned with the Pollard and Barkley news reports? I think the running backs are going to have to deal with whatever contract they get. I'm expecting them to play. Like if they are on a team that looks to be competitive this next year, such as the Giants or the Cowboys, my baseline assumption is the team gets the deal done. They figure out what they have to do. Now you have Josh. Oh my gosh. Look at that team at 8. That team at 8 goes Stephon Diggs, Davante Adams, Josh Allen. They get the Diggs Allen stack with Davante Adams. I am so excited to fall. That's the beginning of a juggernaut there at 8. Okay, Christian Watson off the board. Let's move this down. Lamar goes, we were definitely taking Lamar Jackson if he would have fallen to us. Now instead, we're actually going to go Breece Hall, Najee Harris. Not a big Keenan Allen guy this year at cost. So yeah, let's go Breece Hall, Najee Harris. Now we're going to be pot committed to betting with this New York Jets offense. Most likely going to be looking to grab Rodgers later on because really the only way this team's good enough to turn $5 into $75,000 is if you have the New York Giants as one of the best teams in the league. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and we are going to specifically try to grab Aaron Rodgers later on and make this our bet of what if the Giants are phenomenal, right? Okay. So let's move this down. Brian says, what's your season stat line prediction for Mr. Bijan Robinson? To be honest with you, my friend, whatever official prediction I could give you would mean less than just a site putting out a player prop. Y'all know I say this all the time. You're not going to beat Vegas. These sites that actually have real money on the line, they probably have better projections than I do. And right now, Underdog is Bijan Robinson at 8.5 rushing touchdowns and about 1,100 rushing yards. But keep in mind, with Bijan Robinson, this is a running back that's going to have a massive role as a pass catcher as well. Okay. Now, Keenan Allen making it all the way down to 42. So that Stephon Diggs team grabs Travis Etienne at 41 as well. Pick 8 is incredible. Pick 8 is incredible. Everybody's saying Jets. Yeah, if I said Giants, I apologize. We're going to go Rodgers with the Jets. Y'all know what I meant. Jasmine saying, I'm playing Madden franchise and watching the stream. I'm in year 2030. I think I wouldn't be surprised if a ton of people watching this live stream were playing a video game at the same time. I watch YouTube from essentially the time that I wake up to the time that I go to bed. And very, very, very rarely am I just sitting there on my phone or on my computer just watching it. 9 times out of 10, it's like something's going on in the background and I'm just kind of listening to it. But let me know in the live chat, what are y'all doing right now? Are you just watching this? Are you doing something else as well? You have Hopkins making it down to pick 46 for Falanty here. And of course, real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, dropping a like on this live stream. If we had 600 likes on the stream, we are going to be firing up another draft after this one. And if you want to get in our next draft after this, if you want to go check out any of those player props on Underdog, right now my favorite player props actually going to be Treylon Burks, fewer than 825 receiving yards. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat in the description or the comment section. It's best ball, so no time commit at all during the year. It's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last season. And now is the best time to hop on Underdog because not only are you getting all that stuff with promo code FLOCK, but also they have the free Patrick Mahomes line up until July 22nd. So please make sure y'all are taking advantage of that. Okay. But let's see what people are doing. All right. We have Ricky doing chemistry homework. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you the amount of times back when I was taking chemistry, there was no fantasy football YouTube. It was just fantasy football podcast. But I'd be listening to a fantasy football podcast and doing something. Ty playing Clash Royale. Oh, I went through my Clash Royale phase, my friend. Henry just watching. I mean, Henry doesn't want to miss the beautiful face here. That's what's going on. Mr. TD in an Underdog draft. Hurricane Lane, Skyrim. Just watching. Alex says, don't call me out, Mason. Appreciate y'all guys. And Mason Lutz cooking dinner. Yeah. See, that's the main thing that I use YouTube for. And I have YouTube Premium, so I don't have to deal with ads. I can play it on the background. But like, if I'm like cooking dinner or something, I need to have a YouTube video going. It's probably an issue, but I have like a YouTube video going at all times whenever that happens. But you had DJ Moore falling to Hayes ID at pick 55. Very rarely are you going to see DJ Moore. Yeah, the Hayes ID here with a pretty unique build out the gate. That team at pick 8 goes Aaron Jones. I guess we'll go with the falling values of Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin. I have not taken Deontay Johnson very often at all. I am going to be underweight Deontay Johnson this next season, but if now he has an ADP of 55, I'm never going to be taking him there again. So I guess my only shot to get any more Deontay Johnson, just in case I'm wrong, is if we go ahead and take him here pretty much at pick 60. But Eric says pick 8 is correct. Yeah, there are some incredible teams in this live stream. There are 3 teams that I love. Those 3 teams being Hayes ID at 7 with the Kelsey Mahomes stack, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore as their next 3 wide receivers. The team at 8 with the anchor wide receivers of Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, having Allen stacked with Diggs, with Allen at pick 32, And then having Travis Etienne, Aaron Jones there, 41.56. Now going Lockett, 65. That team at 8, phenomenal. Now, in my mind, the worst team I think I'm looking at in terms of the decisions, and of course I'm an idiot, I could always be wrong. I really don't like Team 2. Team 2 that decided to go Calvin Ridley at the beginning of the 3rd round. Team 2 that went Justin Fields here, pick 47. And I like Fields pick 47, right? But the thing is, when you take Fields there at pick 47, you should most likely draft DJ Moore over Hollywood Brown at pick 50. That's my issue with the team, is going Hollywood over DJ Moore. And then also the team at 10, I really don't like the decision to go Joe Burrow there at pick 39. Not only are you reaching dramatically with Burrow, but you don't have any of his options in his offense. So even if you were to hit, you're probably just going to be losing to a couple teams that took Joe Burrow in the 5th round paired up with Chase or paired up with Higgins. So like, I'm fine taking an unstacked Joe Burrow, but when I do so, I want to make sure it's after ADP, not before ADP. So very interesting draft though. But Chris coming out with a donation, always happy to see you, my man. Says, hey, Mason, 10 TPBR Dynasty, thinking about trading the 108 for Mixon. Looking to win this year or next. Najee and James Conner as my top RBs. I would say if it's going to be a super flex format, I'm definitely going to be keeping pick 8. Pick 8 at that point is going to be either Quentin Johnston or Jordan Addison. If it's going to be a 1 quarterback format, pick 8's not going to be too exciting. So, I mean, in a 1 quarterback format, you could go through and make that deal if you wanted to. But super flex, please keep the pick. Okay. Now, Lawrence off the board, 72. Goddard, 73. You know, I'm never going to talk down on someone taking Dallas Goedert there. Okay. Duke asking if we have any Stetson Bennett shares yet. My man, please tell me you're not drafting Stetson Bennett. I don't know if you're joking. For the love of God, tell me you're not doing that. If you're taking anybody, take Will Levis round 18. At least Levis has some rushing upside. Okay. So you have Treylon Burks finally falling here. I mean, in the previous 2 drafts that we were in, Treylon Burks went in the middle of the 6th round both times. Now Treylon Burks going pick 76 in this one. In my mind, still too early because he's going before Mike Evans. Adam says Stetson has rushing upside. Let's pull this up. Okay, Dotson off the board, 78. Pickens, 79. Stetson this past year averaged, let's get out this little calculator here. How many rushing yards per game do you think Stetson Bennett had this past year? Everybody in the chat saying Stetson Bennett's like Justin Fields, blah, blah, blah. How many rushing yards per game do you think Stetson Bennett averaged? Please let me know. Let me know. He averaged 13. This man is probably not good. Probably doesn't have rushing upside. If you want to go take a wild shot on someone, take a wild shot on Will Levis. We're going to go Kadarius Toney, Quentin Johnston here. I feel like just grabbing some guys that, in general, not really are going to fall here so we can have that unique build, even if y'all know I'm not big on Toney. Say, hell, Toney's at least a little more appealing now that they don't have DeAndre Hopkins going over to KC. So yeah, really weird team. No quarterback, no tight end. Pretty much the exact opposite of what we did in the last draft. We have A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin, Kadarius Toney, Quentin Johnston here at wide receiver. Running back, we have Breece Hall, Najee Harris. We have no QB. We have no tight end. What sucks / is maybe a little interesting is we may end up having to go 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends here, which is something that I don't like to do in these underdog drafts, but I don't know if we can get away from it. Like, we may just be forced to do so. We'll see. We'll see. Angel says, okay, now look up the Will Levis rushing yards per game. I'll happily do that, my friend. Will Levis, before his injury at Kentucky, had 353 rushing yards per game. I'm sorry, per game. He's the best rusher of all time, ladies and gentlemen. 353 rushing yards in the season in 13 games played. 27 rushing yards per game, over double what Stetson Bennett had. Over double. Okay. Now, Dak Prescott going off the board 94, Tua goes 93. In general, not good for us to see quarterbacks go. In general, we need quarterbacks making it back. Simple. It's only math. Now, James Cook, Antonio Gibson, both off the board. What's Rodgers' ADP? Because Rodgers is the guy we're going for with this team, right? 124. Okay, that means we're not taking him at the 9-10 turn. We'd be only going to take him at the 11-12 turn. Cousins goes 99. Ryan says they still have the Burks pick'em lineup. Yeah, that's what I was saying. If you are on Underdog right now, this is what I paired my free Patrick Mahomes bet with, was the Treylon Burks fewer than 825 receiving yards. I put 20 down on a parlay of Burks. Mahomes more than half a passing yard, pretty likely. And then under or fewer than 825 and a half receiving yards for Treylon Burks. It was 20 to win 60. So essentially all that has to happen is Burks has to have lower than that. Okay. Zach Charbonnet off the board at 103. And real quick, of course, if y'all want to get in one of these drafts with us, we'll be doing this literally every single day on the live stream until 2024. Or if you want to go check out any of those player props, it's the same place, Underdog Fantasy. Best ball, no time committed all during the year. Here, this is a $5 buy-in, $75,000 first place prize. We actually had a member of the flock win this tournament last year. Nick won the $75,000. And if you sign up with promo code FLOCK, you get a 100% deposit match. Our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And that link is in the live chat as well as description. Okay, but let's see. What the hell were these teams doing in front of us to allow us to have these options here on the turn? Dylan goes, so I think a lot of people would go Anthony Richardson. But in my mind, I'm going to be locked and loaded into taking 3 quarterbacks no matter what, even if we grab Anthony Richardson here. So what I may do instead is I'm going to take David Njoku as well as Pat Frymuth. Love the tight ends at this price point. I think both tight ends can outscore the wide receivers here at this price. And if we go David Njoku as well as Pat Frymuth, I think we're going to be able to get away with only having to draft 2 tight ends. So we're going to go both tight ends. I think those will help our roster construction where we can take 3 quarterbacks and only 2 tight ends comfortably. We also have Najee Harris paired up with a Frymuth, so possibly we can be looking at a Kenny Pickett selection a little later on. We'll see. We'll see. Now, Brian asking, any chance to play Underdog from Europe? I'm sorry, my friend. Underdog's not available in Europe. Underdog is available here. So pretty much everywhere in the U.S., you can see it on the map, and then everywhere in Canada but Ontario. I'm sorry, my friend. But let's move this over. Anthony Richardson makes it all the way down to 116. I mean, for the rushing upside, pretty strong. Pretty strong. Rich Wynn says, what is the max bet with the Mahomes promo? It's $20. That's why I put 20 with Mahomes and fewer than the 825 receiving yards for. Do they have a Hopkins lineup? There's no way they have Hopkins up, do they? No, they don't. They don't have a Hopkins lineup. They do have Derrick Henry. They have Derrick Henry for more than less than half a receiving touchdown, 9.5 rushing touchdowns, and about 1,200 rushing yards. Okay, let's look at this. Yvette says, is Pacheco at 96 good or bad? I love Pacheco at 96, to be honest with you. I love that value of Pacheco. Okay, Schultz goes 122. Good for us to see tight ends get drafted. Rodgers is our main guy we're looking at, right? I mean, I think that there's a good shot we get Rodgers, considering that we are both the Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall team. So there'll be very few teams that have the incentive to grab Rodgers. The next 3 teams already have 2 quarterbacks each. Everybody else already has 1. So I think there's a real good shot we get Aaron Rodgers here. Khalil Herbert off the board, 124. Definitely a running back I would have taken if you would have made it to us at 132. Kurt says, everyone's saying Lance to Atlanta. It's fake news. Same guy that is, quote unquote, breaking that news said Hopkins was finalizing a deal with New England a month ago. Well, that sucks. And also it sucks to see Aaron Rodgers go off the board 128. Okay, that's great. That's a great pick for us. McKinnon off the board. I think we're just going to double tap 2 eyes guys with ADP here. Go Myers. Possibly take Jimmy G later on if we absolutely have to. We'll go Jamal Williams as well. Jared Goff doesn't really make any sense. We don't have Amon-Ra St. Brown. We don't have Jameson Williams. We don't have Jahmyr Gibbs. We can't take Sam Laporta later on. So, yeah. Definitely not ideal. Would have been much, much better to get Aaron Rodgers on the way back around. But Zach says, what do you think about putting a tight end in the flex for Dynasty? We have Pitts, but we just drafted Michael Mayer. Going to use Pitts in the flex and a Mayer in the tight end spot. I would say in general, my friend, you should not be expecting to be able to start Michael Mayer this next year, even if it's a 1.5 tight end premium format. If you are having to start Michael Mayer this season, and that's like your week 1 plan, you're probably a rebuilding roster in Dynasty, my friend, and I think we should be looking for 2024. Let's move this over. Osborne, Adam Thielen, both off the board. So we have a ton of wide receivers. Like, it's not bad for us to see wide receivers get drafted here. Okay, Mike says, would you pass on all quarterbacks and get Lawrence in the 7th? I like Lawrence in the 7th round in general. Now, what's interesting with taking Lawrence is he's not like a rushing quarterback like Fields, like Hurts, like Lamar, or Richardson, that you're fine not stacking because he can have those massive spike weeks even without one of his other receivers doing well at the same time. So in general, I really only want to have Lawrence on those teams where we also have pretty strong options with either Ridley, Kirk, or if we want to go Evan Ingram a little later on, or if you took Travis Etienne earlier, if you want to go with Zay Flowers. I'm sorry, not Zay Flowers, Zay Jones. So I like Lawrence at that price point, but if you're taking Lawrence at that price point, in general, you need to have another Jacksonville Jaguar on your roster. Okay. So in terms of the stacking options we have with this team, we have Pickett to pair up with the combination of Najee Harris as well as Pat Freiermuth. We have, and Deontay Johnson. Never mind. We are a full-blown Pittsburgh Steelers onslaught here. We have Baker to pair up with Godwin. We have Jimmy G to pair up with Myers. We have Lance because the man's awesome. I think these are the primary quarterbacks that we are looking at. Cole Kmet falling, Gerald Everett goes. Okay, let's think. Do we only want to take 5 RBs with this team, or do we want to take 6? I think it almost depends on the wide receivers that make it to us, right? Kyler goes, I probably would have taken Kyler if he would have made it. What the hell am I supposed to do? I think we go Kenny Pickett. I generally don't like reaching to complete our stacks, but in reality, if we're looking at these guys, Jerome Ford, Deonta Foreman are just as much as a reach, pretty much, just to grab a running back that we need. We could go Komet and actually switch to a 3 tight end build if we really wanted to. Do we think Komet or Alec Pierce scores more fantasy points this next year? I probably think Komet does. It's not like we went all in on tight end with Njoku, Pat Frymuth. There are no running backs in this range. So I think we're going to take Cole Komet and have the very rare 3 quarterback, 3 tight end start. And build, sorry, not start, but let me go back and look at our decision to take Njoku as well as Pat Frymuth previously. At the time, I really liked it. At the time, I really liked our decision to go with David Njoku, Pat Frymuth, 108, 109. But looking back, I think we would have been better off passing on one of the tight ends in favor of Anthony Richardson. Maybe hindsight's 2020 because the draft didn't fall our way. We didn't get Aaron Rodgers. Maybe if we got Rodgers pick 132, we'd feel a little differently. But I think we can say with how this draft has gone, we probably would have been better off with Rodgers. No? Most likely. I'm sorry, not Rodgers, Richardson. But we'll see. Yeah, we have a massive run on tight end here. And this was another issue, right? Like, I think running back is also a position we really want to draft there. But in reality, can we take Deontay Foreman there? Can we take Raheem Mostert there? Probably not. Like, I feel like you kind of have to go tight end or wide receiver. I think we need both positions equally. Like, we went really heavy wide receiver in this draft. So it's more like, okay, who's the better value? Who would you rather have, Alec Pierce or Cole Kmet? White boy, longtime member of the flock, happy to see you out, says, sup, brother, love me some Dotson. The Dotson owner only wants Higgins from me. What would he need to add to make it worth it? A first and some change? If it's a like 12-team Superflex Dynasty League and you could trade T. Higgins for Jahan Dotson plus, say, a 2024 first, second, and third, if you really like Dotson, I think it's a deal that makes a lot of sense because you never know what that first round pick is going to turn into next year. And it also gives you a ton of flexibility with what you can do with your roster a little later on. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to look at Team 8 because this is the team that had the beautiful start, right? You go Diggs, Adams, Allen, ETN, Aaron Jones, Lockett, Montgomery. Oh, this is just such a good team. And I'm saying this when they even sniped us on Aaron Rodgers. Like, it sucks that they sniped us on Rodgers. But I can't sit here and act like they don't have the best team in this draft. Such a beautiful team. But real quick, we are 30 likes away from firing up another draft after this one. So if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. And of course, if somehow you are not subscribed to the channel, fix your life and subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, John Mechie off the board at 173. Now, for damn sure, we cannot be taking Taysom Hill here. Yeah, there's no way in hell we could take Taysom Hill. Chart goes 175. Yeah, I don't like you for taking our guy from us, Hayes ID. I would have gone ahead and I would have taken DJ Chark, Bryce Young, if they would have made it to us at the 15-16 turn. We have 4 picks left. I guess that means we can only take 2 more running backs because we definitely need 2 more quarterbacks. Yeah, honestly, I don't think I could have taken DJ Chark regardless. So even though I'm sitting here a little frustrated, it is what it is. Manny takes Taysom. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Tajee Spears. I don't know if we can draft another wide receiver. So I'm actually going to get both running backs here with Tajay Spears, Jeff Wilson, and then call it a day at running back. And then we're going to grab our next 2 QBs. But looks like we just hit 600 likes in this live stream. So let's go ahead and let's fire up another draft after this one. Gonna get in another puppy tournament, my friends. Just in case you don't know, $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, $75,000 for first, $40,000 for second. Nick is famous because he won this tournament last year. He is a member of the flock. Let's go ahead and let's get into this bad boy. Let me pull up my phone. We have 2 more picks left in that draft, and we're going to go QB, but no freaking way. We are pick 12 again, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully we can take the lessons we learned in the last draft and not make the same mistakes. Obviously, having different people in this draft at the same time will change the formula on the values that we're going to be able to get as well. But let's see. Let's see. Now we have Kevin in here at 2, Jay in here with us at 11. Happy to see y'all. Thank you so much for hopping in these drafts with us. And let me know if anybody else is in this draft with us as well. Okay. Fafafu says, I see Tommy. Yes, Tommy knows is out there in at 4. Henry says 5 straight live stream turn picks. I don't know if this has ever happened. Like, let me see how much Justin Jefferson I have now. Let me see. Who else do you take here at the turn? Like Garrett Wilson? Like, I must have a lot of Jefferson. I have 10% Justin Jefferson and 6% Jamar Chase. So I guess I'm not getting that many first and second overall picks. Feels like I'm getting a ton, though. But let's see. Let's see. Brian says, I'm in here too. Big Daddy Mac at Pig 9. Happy to have you, my man. Happy to have you. Cup goes 6. Bijan 7. So literally since I took this picture of Bijan Robinson and I said I would start drafting him at pick 6 because I was a fan of him, people have now decided to move Bijan Robinson dramatically up their draft boards and not give us a shot to get him. Are y'all kidding me, guys? A.J. Brown at 9. No longer have the shot to get A.J. Brown. Splat on the clock. I believe this was Rob, no, this is Jay. This is Jay. Goes Lamb. So we're going to go Garrett Wilson again, but this time we're going to take Devontae Adams. Yeah, I'm going to take Devontae Adams over Amon-Ra St. Brown. I understand Adams is old. I understand Adams has quarterback question marks. Blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. Really do like DeAndre. I'm sorry, really like Devontae Adams here in particular. Like, let me see how much Devontae Adams I have now. I have 12% Devontae Adams. Like, to go and look at the player props that Underdog has on Adams, they have him for 1,325 receiving yards. They have a line out there, Jamar Chase versus Devontae Adams. And if you take Jamar Chase, you get an extra 25 receiving yards added on. So if like Devontae Adams were to have 1,400 receiving yards and Jamar Chase were to have 1,390, Jamar Chase would still win. Like, that's the current projection that they have out there with Adams. I think Adams, they're wide receiver 9, wide receiver 10. It's a pretty strong pick. But Wes Gal says, how do you check your draft percentage on Underdog? So what you want to do is you want to go over to your completed drafts. So you go to the draft lobby, of course. Go to completed. And then you can go to your 2023 season exposure. And then it lists everything out in terms of your entry fees. So the most you've spent on a player. And then also the percentage of leagues that you've drafted them in. You can do that on the computer or on your app, my friend. Okay. Cody says, due to my draft is following you. So I guess in the other draft, you have another Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams start. A CMC team there decides to go Patrick Mahomes, pick 20. Okay, so in our other drafts, someone sniped us on Trey Lance, which is a little frustrating. It is what it is, though. It is what it is. We'll go take Baker and Jimmy G. We'll have Jimmy Garoppolo stacked up with Myers, Baker stacked up with Godwin. Okay. Smith off the board. Not too many surprises. Pollard here does still go before Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry not off, and we are all the way down to pick 24 now. Let's get another one of these. Oh, sparkling water's open. I'm so tired today, ladies and gentlemen. I went and tried to swim laps, and I was so bad. I did like a couple there and back, so I was like, oh my God, I got to leave. I'm so tired. Yeah, Derrick Henry makes it all the way down to pick 24. Ramondre Stevenson, 25. So that team at 2 decides to pair up Chase and Higgins, and then goes Jalen Hurts, 26. In general, I don't like doing that because when you go Chase and Higgins, you're so committed to that Cincinnati Bengals offense. Really, the only way your team turns out to be a true league winner is if Joe Burrow leads the NFL in passing. And I don't know why we're taking Hurts there if that happens. Najee Harris off the board, 28. Tommy knows bold call on Najee Harris. Massa, thoughts on taking somebody early that you can only get on the opposite side of the board? It's a great strategy. That's why I have to always defend it in these live streams. When you see like a team at 1 go ahead and take, say, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, right? And it's like, okay, well, that's going to be a very unique build. Or if a team at 12 and 13, say, takes Garrett Wilson, Tony Pollard, even if they're sacrificing the median projection but having a unique build from the rest of the tournament, makes a lot of sense. It's something you can really only do early on in these drafts, though. You can't do that later. And you can only really do it at the turn as well. Okay, Loshi on the clock goes Deebo Samuel. Splat. Started off CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Andrews goes. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to do. I don't want to take Ridley. I feel like going ETN, Christian Watson is going to be a little bit of a unique build with both these guys exclusively going mid-round 4. At the same time, to be honest with you, these are kind of my favorite players on the board. So let's go ETN, Christian Watson, mix it up a bit. I have a lot of both of these guys. Let me see how much Christian Watson and ETN I have. Watson in 10%, ETN in 15%. Okay, Keenan Allen off the board, 39. Yeah, I'm just not going to take Keenan. And then everybody saying, like, what's your Ridley percentage? Yeah, I'm not taking much Ridley at all. I know most people are going Ridley there. I have 3% Calvin Ridley. It's very hard for me to take Calvin Ridley at that price point. Like, I understand he has an elite level ceiling, but to go third round Ridley does seem a little bit rich. I just recorded a video looking at like casual redraft leagues and where they are drafting players in comparison to where they're going in underdog drafts in comparison to where they are going in FFPC drafts. And Calvin Ridley in like casual formats is going way later. Calvin Ridley there is going like in the 6th round in comparison to the 3rd round of these underdog leagues. So. And then TT Warrior says, Jackson Burrow team Y. I don't understand it either. Big Eddie Mac, why are you going ahead and taking the combo of Lamar Jackson 33, then Joe Burrow pick 40? I would love to hear the thought process on that. Smooth this around. Sam says, Ridley's been sitting on the couch for 2 years. How can anyone pick him? I understand selecting Ridley, right? Like, I thought I was going to be a massive Calvin Ridley guy this year. I really thought I was going to be going ahead and drafting Ridley over and over and over again. I thought I was going to be making videos saying, guys, y'all forgot Calvin Ridley took 2 years off, but at the same time, last time we saw him, he was top 5 in the NFL. Round 6, round 7, he's a great value. And then he started going round 3 of these drafts. And I was like, okay, well, never mind. I don't know if I can make that argument. Okay. Cito says you have a Scott Hansen's vibranium bladder. I don't know what vibranium means, but I'll say I have a horrible bladder. I have the bladder of a child. But before these live streams, I specifically dehydrate myself so I don't have to get up and go pee every 5 seconds. Like, y'all remember when we did the 24-hour live stream and my voice hurt so much that I just had to be chugging water? And I was just chugging water, chugging water, chugging water. There was a point of that live stream I was having to go pee every 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So you have DJ Moore going off 49. This is just such a weird board with where the quarterbacks went, right? I guess now, team 2, it makes sense if you're going to go Jalen Hurts pick 26, knowing that you weren't going to get Joe Burrow on the way back around. Deontay Johnson, 53. Now, we made an entire video on this, but Ghost asking who we would compare Calvin Ridley to. So what I try to do in a video is I try to go through and look at everything we've seen in recent history and find an example of a player that took 2 years, I don't want to say completely off, but did nothing or was very disappointing for 2 years and then turned into a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy. There was one guy that I found. One guy that I found since the year like 2000. That one player was Randy Moss. There are a lot of other guys like Josh Gordon that took a couple of years off, came back, and then weren't able to do anything. There are not many players that are able to take off that time and come back and be great. Now, we're going to go Hollywood Brown, and we are also going to go George Kittle here. I think Hollywood is very interesting, knowing that we can stack him with Kyler Murray a little later on. Okay. Sam says, man, I love Josh Gordon. He's such a... Like, it is crazy to think what Josh Gordon could have been, right? And I was definitely the guy, and I will admit, maybe this is why I am burned on Calvin Ridley, and I'm not willing to take Calvin Ridley where I did. It's because I was the guy drafting Josh Gordon year after year, chasing it. Now, I finally stopped myself back like the final 3 years he was in the league. Like, I wasn't doing it in 2022. I wasn't doing it in 2021. I wasn't doing it in 2019. But I was doing it in 2017. I was doing it in 2018. I was that guy going through and chasing Calvin Ridley. Ghost says Gordon played with Brady, right? Yeah, so Josh Gordon, here's what happened. 2013, blew the hell up. 22 years old, the man has 117 receiving yards per game for the Cleveland freaking Browns. 2014, initial suspension. He only plays 5 games. He misses all of 2015, misses all of 2016, comes back 2017 to play 5 games again for Cleveland, and doesn't do much. 2018, the following season, he plays 12 games, 1 for the Cleveland Browns and 11 for the New England Patriots. The following season, 2019, he plays 11 games, 6 for the New England Patriots, 5 for the Seattle Seahawks. 2021, he played 12 games for the Kansas City Chiefs. 2022, I did not even know this, but he played 2 games for the Tennessee Titans, and I was not even aware. So I could just be, I don't know. I could just be sitting here being a little crybaby and scared to draft him, and maybe in reality, Calvin Ridley is a phenomenal selection. Maybe I'm just burned from Josh Gordon, and I know it's not the same exact situation, but it's hard. Sam says he caught a couple touchdowns from Brady. Yeah, so Josh Gordon got to play with both Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Crazy. Okay. Now let's see where Burks is going. So in the three drafts we've done today, Burks has gone late 6th round twice, early to mid 7th round once. Let's see where he goes this time. Nate, I'm sorry to do you like this, my man, but this may be one of the worst things I've ever heard in the live stream. Josh Gordon was never the player Calvin Ridley was, but I'm still not drafting him. Josh Gordon was significantly better than Calvin Ridley. Peak Josh Gordon, who averaged 120 yards per game as a 22-year-old player for the Cleveland Browns, was better than Calvin Ridley, my friend. Okay. Now, Quentin Johnson off. Burks going 76. Tommy No says, damn it, I didn't have a choice. This draft is not going the way I want. I was planning on Pickens there. So I guess you do have to go wide receiver, right? So it's either Burks, Quentin Johnson, or Brandon Cooks. I understand if you wanted to go ahead and take Burks at that point. But Cameron says, which side, Hill, Ingram versus Diggs in a future first? I'm going to go Diggs and the future first, but I'd say in general, in your dynasty leagues, y'all shouldn't be able to trade 2026 picks. That's going to be the quickest way to ruin your dynasty format. Okay. Now Deshaun Watson off the board at 79. Goddard goes 80. Y'all know I would have been jumping up and down if we would have had Dallas Goddard at 84. Oh, that would have been exciting. So we have a very well-balanced start. We have ETN, Garrett Wilson, Avante Adams, Christian Watson, Hollywood Brown, George Kittle. I really like our team. Okay. Montgomery off the board, 81. Sam says, how many years in advance should you be able to trade picks in Dynasty? I think you should be able to definitely trade 2024 picks at the minimum. 2025, I think if you're playing in a league where you are very close with the other owners, you can do 2025. 2026, there's just no reason. If someone's trading away their 2026 picks to try to win the league this year, if they're not good enough to win the league this year and they're going and having to trade away their 2024, 2025, and 2026 picks, by the time they get to 2026, they are unquestionably going to have the worst team in the league. That pick's going to be the 1-1, and they're going to have no shot to recover. They're going to leave the league, and you are going to have literally no chance to fill it. Now, FF Addict says, how much correlation is too much? So in general, if you're in a super large field contest like this, right, where if you're in week 17, you have to go up against a couple hundred people, there will be a tipping point of having too many pieces of one individual offense where it will go from being advantageous to a disadvantage for you. I would say in general, really like double stacking. Like if you could go through, if you can have, say, a Burrow with Higgins and Mixon like we took earlier on, I think that makes a lot of sense. Once you get the fourth player in that same offense, I think it's not inherently a bad thing, but I don't necessarily think getting the fourth guy in the offense is a good thing. It's like, okay, if you really like the value, sure, take him, but don't take him for a quote unquote stack. You don't need a triple stack. And then once you have four guys from an individual offense, to take the fifth is just a little bit reckless at that point. To take the fifth, I'd say it's honestly probably a little it's probably going to put you at a little bit of a disadvantage if you make it to that final week. Okay. Jasmine says Ridley's best season, 1375-9. Gordon's best season, 1645-9. It was the only time in either of their careers in which they broke 900. Obviously, you can always play the what-if game, but I wonder how damn good Josh Gordon would have been. How good would he have really been? Okay. MD says, what happened to the 2023 Fantasy Football Hot Tub live stream with Mason Dodd? I need to post my P.O. box for y'all, but I told y'all, if y'all send us a hot tub, a nice hot tub, we could maybe get a hot tub live stream going. Not some garbage one. I'm talking a nice hot tub I can have in the backyard. We'll get that set up. Or maybe not a live stream, but maybe a video. Sam saying Josh Gordon would have for sure been Hall of Fame. I mean, obviously it's hard to say based off of one season, but it looked like it. Okay, let me pull up. How good was Josh Gordon at Baylor? I know we're going way back at this point, right? I mean, at this point, we're going back to 2009, 2010. What's crazy is that Baylor, the best season he ever had from Josh Gordon, obviously is dealing with off the field crap, blah, blah, blah. It's really hard to know exactly what you're going to have, but he played 1 year, 13 games, and 700 receiving yards. Sam says, if you love Gordon, you can buy official merch from his website. In 2020, I cornered the market on Josh Gordon rookie cards. I know nothing about sports cards, my friend. How much were you paying for a Josh Gordon rookie card? Like, how much would that cost? And let me see if Josh Gordon has any good merch. Okay. Landon says, Gordon came into the league at the wrong time. He's a top fantasy asset if weed was legal in this era. My thing is, I assume a ton of players smoke. Maybe I'm wrong with this assumption. But since Josh Gordon, is it legal? Because I don't remember a single other player getting suspended for it. And there's no way in hell out of the thousands of NFL players there are, that nobody does, right? Go says Justin Blackman. Yeah, Justin Blackman, look, he was a great prospect and was great early on. Sam says NFL doesn't test anymore. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Jasmine says a ton of players definitely. See, that's what I was thinking. Like, and I would say even back then, like, I would have assumed that it's not just Josh Gordon. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take Jameson Williams. Falls a considerable amount down, right? I mean, you are getting Jameson Williams specifically for weeks 15, 16, 17. We're also going to take Sky Moore. Sky Moore falls past ADP, and at the same time, I think actually Sky Moore should be going up rankings now that you have confirmation DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be a Kansas City Chief. So yeah, excited about what we're doing there at the turn with Jameson Williams, Sky Moore. Okay. Nils says $25 best ball draft after this. We can get a best ball mania draft going after this if y'all want to. But of course, if y'all want to get another draft going, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 800, we'll fire up another draft. And of course, if you want to get in that next draft, Underdog Fantasy, promo code FLOCK, the match first deposit, dollar for dollar, up to 100. Definitely the best time to get in Underdog drafts is right now, because they have the puppy live. So if you're new to Underdog, this is what you want to be drafting in. You don't want to be in the $25 Best Ball Mania. You want to be in the $5 Fast Puppy to get some practice for your regular league. $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, $75,000 for first place. And also you want to get onto Underdog now because the same time they have the free Patrick Mahomes line up right now until July 22nd. So make sure you're taking advantage of that with a link in the live chat or description. But let's move this back over, ladies and gentlemen. So in terms of quarterbacks that we were looking at that we can stack with, Kyler would complete a double stack for us with James Conner as well as Hollywood Brown. Jordan Love would pair up with Christian Watson for us. Jared Goff would pair up with Jameson Williams. And the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers would pair up with George Kittle. So let's cue those guys up just so we don't forget. Let's move this down, ladies and gentlemen. Myers off the board at 119. Landon says, do you exclusively play Underdog or do you play in Dynasty Leagues as well? I play in a ton of Dynasty Leagues. I mean, I started out on YouTube only Dynasty Fantasy Football oriented. Like for years, Dynasty Fantasy Football is my favorite thing on the planet. Now, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, if I had to choose between Best Ball and Dynasty, I'd probably choose Best Ball. But I think a lot of that has to do with my job during the season because I'm going through and doing those Sunday morning live streams. So it's very difficult for me to make sure I go across my 20 Dynasty Leagues and submit every starting lineup. So if I had to choose just to have one, I probably go with Best Ball. What I would recommend for the vast majority of people now that I've been hardcore fantasy football since 2014, like 20 plus Dynasty Leagues every year since 2014. I would say the most fun someone could have would be having one redraft league that they very much care about, one Dynasty League that they very much care about, and put all their focus and all their attention into those two leagues. And then if you want to have some fun on the side, if you have that fantasy football itch, go hop in like a $3 or a $5 best ball draft, But that way, like you can focus in all your attention on those two main leagues that you care most about. You can spend all that time during the season sweating those out because, well, for the first, like say 5, 6, 7 years, I really had the most fun playing in as many leagues as I possibly could. It does get to a point where you're a little bit desensitized to it, if that makes sense. Like when you're in that many leagues, it doesn't make that much of a difference for you. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. Like I'm never really jumping up and down for winning a matchup if we're in every year now that I'm in this many leagues, if that makes sense. And I've been in them for so damn long now. So I think if you wanted to have the most fun in fantasy football, do one Dynasty League, one redraft league, and if you want to do any more, Best Ball on the side, but mainly care about those two leagues. Okay. And by one, maybe you bump it up to 2 of each, but you get the general gist. Like, I've always been someone to say, just go overboard, get as many as you possibly can. And now I've changed my mind a bit on that. We're going to go with Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff. Rodgers going to pair up with Garrett Wilson for us. Jared Goff going to pair up with Jameson Williams. If you look at the other guys in this range, none of them are too exciting. Now, what's weird, right, is I feel like we are well balanced in this league across all positions, but not super excited about any of them. So wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Christian Watson, Hollywood Brown, Jameson Williams, Sky Moore. A running back, we have ETN, James Conner, Isaiah Pacheco. Quarterback, we have Rodgers, Goff. So it puts us in an interesting spot where I feel like we can get away with only having 2 QBs, right? But we could also take a third. I think we could get away with only having 5 running backs with this team, but I think we could also go with the 6th. I think we could get away with only having 2 tight ends with this team, but we could also go with a third. So it's nice in a way that we have the flexibility to take the value as it falls, but it also kind of sucks in a way where it's a little bit stressful and I don't know exactly what to do. Generally, by the time we get to round 11, round 12, I know exactly how many roster spots we're going to allocate to each position. But here it's a little bit different. Now, Mingo, MVS, both off the board, 137, 138. Bigsby goes 139. Jalen Warren falling in this draft again. I mean, Jalen Warren in the last draft, we took, I want to say like 15 or so picks. Not 15, maybe like 11-ish picks past ADP. Like, we definitely took Jalen Warren significantly past ADP in that last draft. Okay. Warren, 143. Chase asking, keeper league, who are we keeping? Ramondre in the 7th or Fields in the 14th, or doesn't matter on the Dalvin signing? So in general, If you're playing in a keeper format, do not worry about the keeper cost. A 7th round pick and a 14th round selection is very much the same thing in a keeper league, just with small differences. I would say it really does come down to what you think you're going to be able to get in terms of a value later on and who you personally prefer more straight up. Don't ask, who do I prefer at this cost? I think if you get rid of that and just go, yeah, I'd rather have Ramondre Stevenson, you should probably just keep Ramondre Stevenson. Now, of course, if Dalvin Cook goes to New England, maybe it's a little bit different, right? Maybe instead you want to pivot over. But we'll see. Okay. Now we have Rashee Rice off the board at 146. Tyler Higbee goes 147. Swing this back around. So those are the quarterbacks that we could take if we really wanted to. Everything's in play for us here. We could go quarterback. We could go running back. We could go tight end. Hell, we could even go wide receiver. Sam asking what we're actually expecting out of Thielen. I'm expecting nothing. He's totally undraftable. I'm not a big Jonathan Mingo guy, so I actually don't mind mixing in some Adam Thielen. I don't mind mixing in some DJ Chark because I also want to root for Bryce Young. Now, with that being said, I mean, I've also taken a lot of Hayden Hurst. Okay, let's move this over. Gerald Everett goes. Do we take like Kyler and Singletary? Do we go like Singletary and Chark? Let's take, oh my gosh. Let's take Chark here because if we take Chark, I think we can be done with 7 wide receivers. I don't know what the right call was there. I also like Chark a little bit more now that you not have to worry about DeAndre Hopkins going over to Carolina, right? So I really don't know what we want to do in that instance. Let's see. Let me move this down for y'all. Hurricane Lane says Donovan Peoples-Jones was the play, Mason. I don't know. Like, if you're going to go through and, like, look at the pick'em lines that they have on Underdog, they have Chark right now at 700 receiving yards. If you look at Donovan Peoples-Jones, they have him at 500. I think Chark could easily be the wide receiver 1 for Bryce Young this next year. Like, I don't know if it's a possibility for Donovan Peoples-Jones to be that. Nate says I put all my money on Donovan Peoples-Jones for fewer than 500 receiving yards. Well, what you should probably do, my friend, is not put all your money on it, but can't hurt to go, if you really like that bet, pair it with the Patrick Mahomes free bet they have on Underdog for fewer than 500. But you get capped out $20 there. So never recommend put all your money on something, but $20 if you're fine losing it. Okay. Gainwell goes 167. Let's move this back around. Like I said, I think we can still go with another QB if we really wanted to, if they fall to us like a strong value. Like if Jordan Love were to make it back to us to like 180, we'd probably take Love to pair him up with Christian Watson. This may be one of the very few instances that Sam Laporta makes sense for us to go ahead and take, say, like Sam Laporta as well as, I don't know. If we take Laporta, do we want to take another tight ends? We took Kittle. Kittle's just weird drafting him here because when I take Kittle, I don't know if we're good with 2 or 3 tight ends. Mostert goes, Love goes 170. That sucks for us. I mean, Love was like the one guy for sure I wanted there. Okay, Tajay Spears off the board, 173. Let's see if we can get Lance. Okay, what are we doing? Ezekiel Elliott off the board. I mean, we still definitely need another running back. I honestly think we may go Laporta, Juwan Johnson. Cap ourselves out at 7 wide receivers, or 7 wide receivers being Garrett Wilson, Avonte Adams, Christian Watson, Hollywood, Jamison, Sky Moore, DJ Chark. Juwan Johnson, decent value, 181. He could outscore the other wide receivers in this range. Sam Laporta falls 15 picks past ADP. I don't love Sam Laporta, but if he falls 15 picks past ADP and at the same time we have Jared Goff, we probably need to grab him. Mr. Clad says, Lance percentage update, please. I have a lot of Lance. Let me see. Last I checked, I thought we were 24% Trey Lance. Let me see where we are at now. We're still 24% Trey Lance. So sticking calm with Lance. No, not going any higher, not going any lower. Okay. Let's move this down. Ty Chandler goes 186. Sam says, what are the chances Lenny retires? I have a decent amount of Leonard Fournette, so I hope the odds are low. Let me see how many Lenny I have. I have 11% Leonard Fournette, so would not be great for me if Leonard Fournette retires. But back in the day, when we thought Will Fuller was going to be coming back, we couldn't stop drafting him in round 16, 17, 18. I had, I believe, like 12 or 13% Will Fuller as well, and he did not come back, and it was painful. Okay. Let's move this down. Nick says, I got smoked by Fuller. I had 18% of him. I probably had 18% of them as well, my friend, and I'm just telling myself that I didn't, so it feels a little bit better. Tell myself I had 11% instead. But Sam Howell off. I guess Gesicki goes 193. Now that we go with the third tight end, I think maybe we just stick with Rodgers and Goff. We definitely need, at minimum, to take one more running back. Minimum one more running back. Then with that last spot, we could go either another running back. We could go two more and take 6 total running backs. We go with another quarterback and have 3 QBs. We could go with another wide receiver and have 8 wide receivers. Bush Sports says, I believe I had close to 25% Fuller. Guy was free. Yeah, that was my same thought process, my man, that the guy was free. But there's a reason that Will Fuller was free. There may be a reason that Leonard Fournette, there may be a reason that Kareem Hunt is free this year. We'll see. But Ferguson off the board, 201. Actually really like Parker this range. I think you kind of have to be taking Devontae Parker now that Hopkins is signed. Like in a draft that we did earlier today, it's the one that we did immediately after Hopkins signed with Tennessee. We took Juju Smith-Schuster, then Devontae Parker round 17, Mac Jones round 18. Here with this team in particular, I think we may pair up Stroud with Singletary and then take Leonard Fournette. I don't know what the right call was there. Don't like how this team came together at the very ends. I like what we did early on, though. So maybe the pick that we messed everything up with was the George Kittle selection. Maybe if instead we go like Miles Sanders where we took George Kittle, then that makes us a little more comfortable to only go 5 running backs. So, yeah, I don't know. Definitely a weird mark, but I think that should be it. Looks like we are not going to hit 800 likes on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, thank you so much for hanging out with us in this draft. Thank you so much for being here every single day. You know I'm not going to miss a single day of the live stream until 2024. So, of course, if you want to go hop in one of these drafts with us or if you want to go draft in the public lobby, now is the best time to do so. The puppy is live. It's a $5 buy-in. $500,000 first place prize. A member of the flock, $500,000 prize pool. First place prize, $75,000, which a member of the flock won last year. And also, they have the Patrick Mahomes free bet up there, more than less than half a passing yard up until, I believe, July 22nd. And if you sign up with promo code FLOCK with the link in the live chat, link in the description, they're going to match your first deposit, dollar for dollar, up to $100. Get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really do appreciate y'all and really hope that I get to see you with the live stream tomorrow night.